coffee top, and that's where his like that in the mountain. My husband like this in the mountain.
Oh. They did like each other, didn't they?
Well, pretty well. But every time I'd say something about going to the mountains, Kermit said, "I'm a Groper's Ball." I'd say, "I'd like to go where Daddy went up to Rocky Top," and I never did make it, but she's been up there.
Yeah, Daddy, we'd ask him about going up to Spencefield, and he'd say, "That's not my end of the mountain."
Well, he's probably right.
He herded some, Groper's Ball and stayed at the moor or otter cabin down off the mountain there.
So, so was your dad born here too, or is he born somewhere else?
He's born just right on down the road with that where the barn stood there.
No, your dad.
Oh, my dad. No, he was born in North Carolina.
Okay.
And
So
they came across.
Across. So your mom was born here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So where was
1901.
Kermit born?
Daddy was born right down here on the creek, or branch, up the branch from where.
What home site is that?
Well, it's not marked. But you know where the barn went down?
Yes.
3 years ago or 4 years ago?
I know
that
it
was
is.
their barn.
And the house.
And the house
Wasn't
was
the
up
home
on the hill
site up on
behind.
the? Oh, I know that. I've been up there.
Okay.
I know that home site.
Okay, but he was born up the branch from there
Oh.
in a
in a
little
little
clearing,
cabin.
in a little cabin.
So he's been in her cabin on up the creek area. Was that
Well,
belong to somebody else?
We
Was
ought
that
to
just
get
part
you
of
out
the?
of the sun. and
Her
not
that's
mother
walk
and
your
daddy.
legs
That's
here.
okay.
My mom's mother and daddy.
I'm videotaping this, by the way. I'm loving the history.
He does a lot of family search and history.
Oh, I've done a lot of I used to work for the library in Superior County. Then, of course, I did a lot of hiking in the north section of the park, which I know real well historically, and where all the cemetery stuff are. But getting to know Cades Cove from somebody who knows, like when she says chicken coops right here, you can't beat that kind of stuff.
Where was the spring? Where did you get your water?
And above the barn, up there, and there's a branch. You had to cross a branch, and there's a spring.
Behind the barn.
Mm-hmm. Way above the barn, up there in the edge of the woods.
About 200 yards.
That
from the
way.
barn.
Just
Kind of, the house was over here.
Yes.
The Dan Lawson house is here. Right in there was a spring.
So is there
behind
any
the barn.
remnants?
There's a piece of concrete right on.
So
on
it'd be
this
out
side of
almost in the
spring.
middle of the field.
No,
No,
it's in the woods.
it's in the
Across the
woods.
branch. The branch is at the edge of the woods. You cross the branch. There's laurel trees here, and the spring is right at the foot of those laurel bushes.
Back behind, almost straight back behind the barn. It's kind of, there's a lot of rubble and stuff, and that's where I got tangled in barbed wire.
well, now you come on down the branch from that, and it's does the branch make a little curve in there somehow or another, and then it goes around that way from it. Where
And
you
so I
cross
can
goes
still
swing.
find it when I go back. They're fabulous. I'll do that sometime.
There's a piece of concrete right on the edge of it, up about so high.
Okay.
Below, on the lower side of the spring.
That was quite a haul.
Well, they had a pipe. The people lived in the old log house at one time had a pipe that brought water down to the back of their house.
Okay.
So they could just stand, get out.
I was
the
going to
back
say,
door
that's
and
a
go.
kind of a long walk. to
But
get
I
water.
carried water from up here above the barn, where my house was, from the spring to drinking water.
Oh, okay.
Now, did you go to school? The schoolhouse that you say here?
Up at the Primitive Baptist
Consolidated
Church.
school.
There's a schoolhouse there.
Yeah,
That's where I went.
it's across the, yeah.
How neat.
Oh, I wish you'd get out of the sun.
And her mother went to school there too,
And your mother.
at the consolidated school.
And
And
she
Okay.
lived
Now, your
in,
mama was who again?
Anthony.
Anthony.
And
Okay.
the first home place on the right as you start around the loop road here, that's where she was raised up a hollow there.
Okay. Yeah, we stopped at the what was that house up here with all the flowers out there next to the church on this side?
Oh, it's a
Spangler.
long name.
Spangler Place, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It was facing the road that way, wasn't it? Because I kind of tell where the steps off. We got a picture of one of the books, and it has the steps coming off the bank. I said it had to be between the trees facing this way.
when you first start around the loop road, there's a road out to the right, and they've cut trees and
Right,
blocked
blocked
the
up.
road. That went out to the Anthony place.
Okay.
And if you come on down the hill and look out and see what we always call the Indian Mound, that was part of their property.
Okay.
Mother's
I might have to do that again, but I think I know where the cut of that road.
Yes.
I think I know exactly where you're talking.
Mother hoed corn on that little Indian mound out there, they called it, and they'd start at the bottom and go all the way to the top, make one row, and so they would just play on it.
Like peeling an apple.
Yeah, you remember any graves being at that old cemetery back up there in the woods, the Fiesel
Fiesel.
Cemetery?
have been up there, but I didn't know the cemetery.
Yeah. Mike, a friend of ours was up there last year. He thought he found a few rocks in the ground, like it might have been knocked down, to mow the hay, whatnot. He said that probably has to be where a few graves were at or something. But
If not in my lifetime, was it
But
a
somebody
cemetery?
that ran it there, they said that they pulled up the stones and plowed it up, and stuff.
right,
So
just
they
stacked
didn't
them up.
believe
There's a
it
bunch of them stacked up next to the tree. And you can't read them, but they look like the kind of stones you'd carve names in the old days, and a few baby graves, whatever it might have been.
Now, I'm sure you've been to the Lawson Abbott Cemetery up on the hill from where we live.
Have you, Mike?
I've not been to that one yet.
Oh, well, we'll do that. I
It was
love
the
that one.
Hopewell Methodist Church.
Okay.
And there are not many graves up there, mostly Abbotts and a few Harmons. I remember my grandpa, George Caughron, we call him Paul, he had a little piece of marble, and he scratched Gooler Harmon's name on it because his grave was unmarked at that time. But they've since put a marker up.
Oh, nice.
That's really nice.
Yeah, I'll take you up there. It's well, you can't
Oh,
miss
yeah.
it once.
Yeah, this is an area
figure
that
out how to
I've
get
not.
there.
This is an area I've hiked some, but not like I've hiked the northern section of the park where I've been up and down every single creek, and I've hiked with a bunch of old timers. I've hiked with all the Ramseys and people who are actually born inside the park and things like
Yeah.
that. But this section is all kind of. I'm just like a tourist out in this part of the park. Except I've hiked with Mike Gordy's some. We've been up some of the old beds up back hollers and things, but not exactly sure. Because the Cove, when they tore it apart, after the Civil War, I guess, and later on, when they took the house out, they took everything. I mean, except for maybe a brick left here or there. You got like you would know it was here, not right there. Where us, we're just kind of
Right.
guessing where it might be,
Where you
even with the
park out
good
here,
books and
just go
maps.
up to, this old house, you just go in that, where that car you seen go there, where the fence row is,
Yep,
you can see out there
that's
next
right
to the
in
woods,
the tree
and you
line.
park right about there and then walk up the hill to
Yep,
it.
there's a road there, right there in the tree line. Oh, nice. Of course, that's the Becky Cable barn.
Yeah. Okay.
What part of it is, I don't know. It's the Becky Cable barn.
I actually did a story. I did a blog. I've read about 300 or 400 blogs on a Knoxville newspaper website called Go Smokies. And there were some Cables that actually married some Myers from here that actually moved back to Emirates Cove. And there's a little side holler across from Buckhorn Road as you go past the Campbell High School down the hill, and we call it Little Myers Holler. And both the father and the son were married to Cable girls from here. And after the Civil War, they had moved back to Emirates Cove for some reason, from here to Emirates Cove, which I find kind of strange. But they ended up moving back in a real small, pretty tight, what I call a horseshoe holler. Just dead in here, dead in here, and dead in here. But all three sons were all in there, and they're all Tim Fisher's now the main historian, I guess, at the Superior County Library. That was his grandpa, and they're all buried there at Hills Creek Cemetery, there just across the road from the big Greenbrier, just outside the park.
My dad was Kermit Caughron, and his mother was Dilly Myers Caughron. Her dad was Pete Myers, whose father was Dan Myers. Dan
I think these
Myers'
people went back.
wife
I think people went back to Dan Myers too.
married Matilda Cable.
Right.
She died. Well, they had their children, and then she died, and he married Matilda's cousin. Can't remember her name right this minute, but
That's
they,
probably the
they
same
lived-
group.
Now,
Yeah.
is that the
Fanny.
Dan Myers just before you come into the park? Did he have some land or something, the Dan Myers, or is that a completely different Dan Myers?
Lade's dad.
Oh, was that a Dan also?
Yeah.
Was that little Dan?
That's
no,
it.
Little Dan was a different one.
Okay. Well, Lade Myers lived right there on the left. He was one of our first park rangers here.
Oh, okay.
Worked CCC camp as a foreman, and then worked for the Park Service as a ranger, and lived right there. And he was kin. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Let's get you out of the sun. We really appreciate your time.
It really is
A
warm.
pleasure.
These glasses, they supposed to be sunglasses, but they just don't block the sun at all.
They just make our eyes look black.
And
Well,
so she
that's what
says-
my mom says. She has those transition
Progressive,
ones, and she
yeah.
goes, they didn't get the prescription right. And I said, Mom, it's just the same. It's just that they don't look
They don't.
dark anymore.
They don't protect your eyes, I don't think.